Welcome back, everybody, to the Checked In Podcast. Got Michael and Justin here from VetsVetoWar. Got a little meme to start off the segue.
Shoot, let's see what we got. We can check the COVID folder. Where are we headed?
Let's go to the culture. What was it?
Culture rot.
Culture rot. Let's hit it.
All right, culture rot. Good old culture rot. Here we are. What do we got here? Oh, no, that's COVID.
It's COVID rot.
I'm a national racialist or...
Nope. Here we go.
Okay, so during third period, we have announcements and they do the Pledge of Allegiance. I always tell my class, stand if you feel like it, don't stand if you feel like it, say the words if you want, don't have to say the words.
No
so
pressure.
My class decided to stand but not say the words. Totally fine. Except for the fact that my room does not have a flag. It used to be there. But I took it down during COVID because it made me uncomfortable.
She got crazy eyes.
I packed it away and I don't know where, and I haven't found it yet. But my kid today goes, hey, it's kind of weird that we just stand and then, we say it to nothing. And I'm like, oh, well, I got to find it. Like, I'm working on it. I got you. In the meantime, I tell this kid, we do have a flag in the class that you can pledge your allegiance to. And he, looks around and he goes, oh, that one?
Oh, yes.
Wow. It's good.
Oh. Well, it's not a religion.
I'm sorry, what?
It's called being a decent human being, Mike.
You make me feel like a piece of shit, but that's manipulation at its finest.
In other news, remember our TikTok where we said the name of he who must not be named? A German leader?
Yes.
That guy?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
The entire video went mute?
Yeah. Here we go. Disturbing new statistics show that American stores receive more business after they've been labeled as racist by Yelp. I love the picture.
Really?
We do food to go, dine in, and casual racism.
I'm sorry, really?
We're not racist. We're a biracial couple.
Wow, that's
man,
unexpected to say the least.
Oh yeah. Should I tell my now married ex that I want him back? Oh man, cry harder, Western woman.
That's culture today.
Let's see here. Woman kills parents after claiming lack of support during gender transition. She sounds hideous. She's got a shave.
She sounds, I feel like the Menendez brothers actually had a better reason than that.
The what brothers?
Menendez.
Who are they?
Oh, Justin, no. You don't know the most famous killers of parents ever?
No.
Oh, yeah. They killed their parents over some petty shit. But they're like the most famous. Let me see if I can pull it up. Menendez brothers case. You
gonna share it
to the screen? I mean, yeah, I guess I can. Yeah, I'm so surprised. Like, you know so much about so much. Yeah.
Oh, you got me here.
Menendez brothers. Can you see me still?
Yeah.
Okay. Reason for killing. You uneducated.
Swine. Scum.
There we go.
Bottom feeder.
Let's see if I could make this happen. Share the screen. Share screen. Boom. Desktop. Share. Oh my Lord.
What's up?
Zoom's trying to do the most right now. Okay, I can't make the change, so I can't share the screen. But
why?
I'll tell you what happened. I don't know. I guess I'm locked out of my own. But Lyle and Eric Menendez cited emotional and physical abuse, among other reasons, for the gruesome 1989 killing of their mother and father. Lyle and Eric Menendez cited emotional and physical abuse, among other reasons. Oh, it just repeats itself. Cool. So emotional and physical abuse. But that's like one of the most notorious cases of like
I still hear you.
Ever.
Notorious case of what?
Murder, like ever. Like they were, and what's crazy is after they killed their parents, they actually went to a Lakers game courtside. So basically, they killed their parents and then headed over to watch Kobe and well, no, it was the 80s. So they were watching, I believe they were watching a Lakers game courtside after killing their parents, but they said emotional and physical abuse. Homegirl killed her parents because they didn't approve of the gender switch.
Yeah, it makes sense.
I don't know. It doesn't sound.
Maybe it wasn't even that. Maybe it was like something simple too, where they're like, let the boy be. It said something like, they accidentally said the wrong title.
The wrong.
It could be anything nowadays, right?
I mean, I've heard of kids killing their parents for not letting them go on the video game. So at this point, with this generation, nothing surprises me.
Sometimes you gotta kill your parents,
It's a means to an end.
Let's see here. Oh, why America? Here, mother and daughter labeled incestuous for creating joint OnlyFans.
Wow.
I don't know what we do with this.
I mean, what's crazy is it's not really, it doesn't seem, at least nowadays, it doesn't even seem bad.
I wonder who suggested it to who.
The mother.
How you bring that up, right? Yeah. How do you bring that up?
We're close. I think we should pose nude with each other for $8.99 a month. Don't you?
Yeah, why not, right? Oh man. 85 years ago today, the Nazis sacked the Institute for Sexual Science headed by Dr. Magnus Hirschfeld. We talked about him in Berlin. Hirschfeld was a co-founder of the first homosexual emancipation organization in the world and was a pioneering advocate for transgender people. This and that's a lot of books.
This right here. So when I said earlier in the podcast that I see America going in the same direction pre-Nazi Germany was, that is the picture that I actually was thinking of.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I mean, a lot of people are going to start to say, hey, the Nazis are against that stuff. Well, they don't seem so bad.
I mean, so I just like pre-Nazi Germany is very similar to current day United States, is it not?
Huge inflation, prostitution, prostitution in the sense of, everybody's a sex worker, premium Snapchats, right? OnlyFans accounts.
Now, the pre-Nazi Germany, I want to understand how Jews tied into this. Can you please elaborate?
Yeah. Sure. Well, they headed a majority of the Marxist parties in the area. There was the stab in the back, so-called myth. A lot of Jews obviously were involved in the Russian Revolution, which took Russia out of the war, which hurt the allies, which kind of forced them into a corner to bring the U.S. into war. And the U.S. was brought into the war by use of the Balfour Declaration. So the future Israelis were given Israel as a promise if they helped the U.S. bring the U.S. into the war. They used their papers, New York Times, media, and everything to bring the U.S. into the war. They founded all the Marxist parties that stage workers' revolts. Not saying, workers shouldn't advocate for their own rights, but stage workers' revolts at the worst possible time during the war to slow down Germany, and really betrayed them. The Treaty of Versailles was a complete just capitulation. It forced the people to capitulate to France and everybody else. And, they also headed up a lot of the so-called progressive thought process, the thought process saying, hey, it's okay to be a prostitute. It's okay to be a sex worker. It's okay to, chop your wiener off, whatever. Well, the first transgender surgery took place in the Weimar Republic, Germany.
The Weimar Republic is pre-Nazi Germany, correct?
Exactly.
Okay, so now comparatively to current day US, where do you see that? Where do you see the similarities?
Just 1 second. Cats. Sorry. Yeah, so you've got, the degradation of culture in the sense of, the pushing of free sex, sex selling, prostitution through OnlyFans, prostitution on the streets of Berlin, runaway inflation. 40% of the US dollars in circulation that ever existed were created in the past few years alone, maybe the past year, something around there. And slandering any sort of nationalist ideology, because true nationalism is really the only thing that would combat this poison of liberalism.
Right.
And it's just a lot of similarities. You have, the papers screaming about anti-Semitism, linking anti-Semitism to anti-war movements, which in itself is, rather telling. Kind of, if you have something against an anti-war movement, other than disagreeing with their tactics, there's something wrong with you. And if you want to link that to your own people's race, hey, people hate our race because they instigate wars? Like what? Just a lot of similarities to Weimar Germany. So now revolution is going to happen one way or another.
You mentioned nationalism.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Weimar Germany, the sense of nationalism was abysmal, correct?
Well, yeah, questioning, everything. Everything is up for question. What is a boy? What is a girl? But just a mere construct. Germany itself is just a construct. Being a German is not anything that, in particular, that should be held on to. In fact, you should hate yourself for it. Reducing your army, which I'm not saying that you should always have, invest everything into the military, but you should have a good standing army,
right, to
protect yourself. They limited that army. Nationalism is usually attached to a monarch or a dictator or authoritarian regime, on the sense of a regime that cares about its citizens but can act with a swiftness. And people say, well, the government shouldn't be able to act quickly. But we have a republic here, right? And whenever it wants to, it slows itself down, and it can't get things that people want, whether you agree with them or not. They can't get universal health coverage passed, even though it's super popular. But the very second they want to issue trillions and trillions of dollars to banks, they'll do it overnight with a voice count,
right?
With just a vote by voice, ayes and nays,
Mm-hmm.
So that's typically attached to nationalism. The government acts fast, and yeah, go ahead.
Do you? Because I was having this conversation with with a coworker, and I don't believe that America currently has any sense of nationalism whatsoever. I believe the last time that I could think that America had some type of nationalism, so pride for the country, was when 9/11 happened. Do you Do you agree with that?
Yes and no. Yeah, you know, there was a definitely hoorah patriotism. Uh, Actually, Hitler spoke about this in Mein Kampf and a few speeches. Hoorah patriotism. It's just a false. It was a false. It was like getting high. You kind of feel good, but you're really, you know, it's not anything natural. It's unnatural. Feeling good about starting a war or going to fight people without taking a second to think, am I fighting the right person?
Right.
There's no investigation. It was too fast. The energy is redirected. Just like the Trump tards were all, you know, hurrah, I love America. We need to bring our boys home. And then the second Biden does it, because he's on the blue team, he's not on the red team, he's not on the right team, we need to go back.
Right.
So, you know, nationalism, yeah, I'd say you're right. Yeah, there's some sort of systemic nationalism where it was, you know, a majority of people felt it. Yeah, but it was all misdirected into the wrong thing known as neoconservatism, interference in foreign affairs.
When do you think the last time was that the U.S. has been nationalistic? Because when I was having this conversation with, like, even myself personally, being from an Italian background,
Yeah,
I have extreme pride in my Italian heritage and my Italian culture. I don't feel the same way about America. And I don't know many people that are like gung-ho proud of America and being American, even though they're American citizens. Like, I feel like when my coworker, he's from Pakistan, and his pride in America is only logical, where he only wants America to be the best in the world, and he's proud of America because he lives here, and it affects him directly. And he just had a child, and it affects the child directly. But I feel like myself personally, my pride in Italy and the Italian culture, it runs deeper than all of that. That's actual pride. Whereas Americans, I feel like that's been lost. Like, I know there must have been a time when American pride existed, but I can't see a time. I can't even think of a time when that was actually a thing, unless we're talking about like wartime.
yeah, maybe revolutionary wartime. But I mean, what was America really before? America, I mean, I hate to say this, because it'll make some people angry. So actually, I guess I don't hate to say this. America was built as a pan-European state. It was supposed to be a European megastate, you know. Once you come over here, you're not Polish, you're not Swedish, you're not German, you're American. But there's no sense. I mean, what is America? What is it known for? You know, high crime, some mishmash of different cultural foods. It's like, oh man, now I can go to an Afghan restaurant. I can go to a Hispanic restaurant. It's just a big conglomerate business, just like you said with your Pakistan friend. It's just a business. It's what can I get out of this? And that's what, you know, capitalism really is what, you know, screw society. What is society going to do for me? Not what can I do for society?
And you think that's
so there's no.
Do you think that sense of nationalism is different, depending on the country? Because I know there are countries like, for example, Pakistan, where he said he's extremely nationalistic about the country. He would die for the country, regardless. Like, even the people in the country, like 10 years old, would line up to go to war to defend the country. Whereas here, it's like, I know people who are in the or who are former army, military, whatever, who said if there was to be a draft, they would try and find a way out of it.
Yeah, forget this place, man. What does it really do? I mean, I can't afford to have a family. Everybody rents everything. Nobody owns anything. And even if the situation still sucked, it's, I don't know. Countries are, I mean, what does it mean to be British, for example, right? What does I am British mean when the most common name in England for the past few years has been Muhammad for babies? What does it mean to be British anymore? There's no, you need to have some sort of tie to the place. If it doesn't reflect you, then why would you care about it?
Now, with that being said, a lot of the countries that are a little more nationalistic, from my observation, could be complete bullshit. Don't know.
Yeah.
My observation, a lot of the countries that are nationalistic happen to also be extremely racist towards any group that is outside of their own. Do you think there's a
homogenous? Yeah, when you say what does the average Chinese person look like, they look like a Chinese person. Right. I can't even describe. Well, I can describe how they look, but I can't even describe like. Let's say, what does an average American look like? What do you look like? You look like anything. It could be anywhere. It's an international business center.
Yeah.
It's just a business park. You come here to see a few things and pay some money and, extract whatever you can out of the place. And that's it. It's just a big hub for business. There's no culture attached to it. There's no like the Chinese would be like, we're really into our herbal medicines. The Afghans are like, we're into being a warrior people. To be, Italian, we make great food. We look this way. This is what it means to be Italian. Like if I show you a picture of, an African descended Italian soccer player or something, you're like, is he Italian?
Right.
I mean, you'd be hard pressed unless somebody's being decided. Well, being Italian is meaningless. I'm like, all right, cool. Well, Elon Musk is an African American then, because he's from South Africa.
Which technically,
and I say that, and people get taken aback. They're like, no, he's not. He can't be an African American. I was like, what do you mean? Race is meaningless. The average American looks like anything, but I tell you that an African American is a white man. You know that I'm, twisting something around.
Yeah.
There's got to be a sense of camaraderie, and people could say, oh, that's extremely primal, whatever like that. And it's like, okay, well, so is breathing. Breathing is primal. It's a primal activity. Getting afraid. It's just, tribalism is inherent, and that's what a nation is all about.
So you think the further that a country goes from that tribal camaraderie, the less nationalistic the country is?
I'd say that's a huge thing, because then you have no connection to it.
Because I mean,
if it's just a business transaction.
Because to be fair, American actually is Native American. So to be American would be to be Native American, would it not? So a true,
I guess,
would be that, wouldn't it?
Well, I would say, people take over peoples all the time.
Right.
So I'm not saying it's a good or bad thing. Probably shouldn't happen to be dominated. But the Native Americans, so-called, act like they simply sprang out of the ground. They sprang out of the Appalachians. They grew there like plants when they came from Asia themselves. So you guys conquered each other. You guys slaughtered each other, and we beat you. Sorry.
So do you think there's ever going to be a point in time with the current route that America is going where there will be a newfound sense of nationalism, or do you think we're kind of at a point where we'd have to take a drastic turn in order to find that nationalism?
I think that tribalism is inevitable, and it would be hard unless the race stabilizes and becomes one fairly even skin tone or type of people. But I don't know. I mean, people are having less and less in common with their children. I mean, there's a problem with organ donations in San Francisco because of how many people are of mixed Asian and white descent. They can't get an organ from either parent.
Really?
So you have just nothing in common. You got a white parent and an Asian parent. If you want to have mixed race children, sure, that's your prerogative. But I mean, I don't see myself. I'm the average American that died during the war on terror were white Americans. And and they died because this is their country, so it would seem. But I don't look at the country and go, wow, this is my people. I mean, this is just a mishmash of people that I have nothing in common with, and I'm going to have competing interests with. I mean, if Black people are going to have interests, if Hispanic people are going to have interests, if Asian people are going to have interests, I inevitably would have interest as a white man. So I don't see how I can be nationalistic when there's going to be differences between us. One group is always going to outperform the other, whatever that group may be, and there's going to be some resentment.
So
they're not on the same team. Huh?
You don't see, I mean, realistically speaking, because you said the only way that this could ever really happen is if the U.S. found, well, not even found, but if the U.S. became a country where there was one mutual race. So realistically speaking, there's no way for that to happen on the current course.
It gets stabilized through intermarriage and everything like that.
But we're talking hundreds of years.
Yeah, we're talking hundreds of years, and you have a government that inherently doesn't care about the people. I mean, it sees its birth rates plummeting. Even, second and third generation immigrants who come from immigrant households that are, first generation immigrants that are extremely, fertile and reproduce like crazy. Second and third generation immigrants, adopt this cancerous culture of the U.S., of this business, this conglomerate, and they also stop having children too. And the government cares so little about its people, and they're like, oh, well, their birth rates are falling, whatever. We'll just import more people to replace you. So you just clearly, there's no, how do you feel good about a government that doesn't care about you, that just looks as you as a worker bee, a tax animal,
right? No,
something that produces.
Yeah, you're 100%.
And that's it.
So what do you think can right the path that we're on to get to a point where we're a nationalistic whole country like all these other ones that we've named, as opposed to a country that basically doesn't associate itself with the country that it is?
Maybe, just maybe, there'd be a chance if you didn't force people at gunpoint to integrate. I think that people, if in a true, liberal society where people are allowed to do whatever they want, and there was no government intervention, I believe that the races would naturally, obviously you'll have intermarriages, every so often, but most people prefer to be around their own people,
right?
In general, I'm white, but I don't go to the Italian American Community Center and go, man, I fit right in. Being Italian, I don't see myself getting out of there making friends if I go there and go, well, Italian is just a social construct. Yeah. So I think if you just, at least the only chance it survives with the current model is intended, is to allow people to naturally do whatever they want, live in whatever neighborhoods. They don't force, the Housing and Urban Development Agency, HUD, doesn't purposefully try to find low-income housing in, traditionally white neighborhoods or whatever like that, and force integration for no reason other than just to do it. If it's so awesome, you think people will just catch on. But it just doesn't seem to be good for anyone. There's always going to be some sort of resentment because your team is not doing as well as the other team, or vice versa.
Right. Now, knowing you and knowing there's a fairly strong opinion behind this question, I have to ask you, what would fix this country?
Balkanization.
Right on that, because I don't even know what that
is. Allow the different racial nationalist groups to divide the country up as they see fit and organize their people under those blankets,
So
under those
essentially make
split the country up.
sub countries within.
Yeah, a couple countries within a country.
How
And
would
even
that,
then, you're still in a weird position, huh?
how would that go about? So you're saying to racially divide the country as the people see fit?
Well, I mean, you already see, as an example, the simple mundane things are now considered taboo. Like, look at this. How can I as a white person live when this is what the media says? These are white people, obviously. We have a right to exist. White supremacist posters at Purdue. What a mundane statement. We have a right to exist.
Now,
How can I live with other people when that's being pushed out there? How can I feel safe?
What I don't understand is if that was for any other race, that would be deemed progressive. Am I mistaken by using that word there?
It would be allowed. It would be encouraged. No one would bat an eye.
But because it's white, it's racist.
Yeah, you can't insist that you exist. That's white supremacy. Just merely existing is inherently offensive to other peoples, or is at least broadcast as such. I don't believe that most people believe that, but if the most radical elements of society, again, do believe that, those are the ones that affect change. And those radical elements are the ones that, clearly, obviously, if you disagree with that statement in itself, then you're obviously you have hate for white people.
Right.
If you think that's evil.
In the media, that's seen as a norm almost to discredit white people as a whole. Like, I mean, I know there's both sides to it. So there's the people that are like, Black Lives Matter. No, all lives matter. I understand this. I understand the argument for that.
Yeah.
Where all lives matter isn't meant for that statement. But when just saying positive things about people who are white is deemed racist, I feel like that's a completely different narrative being pushed. That's a completely different, and the media eats that up. And I don't quite get why.
How can I live among other people if that's how they feel?
Right, exactly. Because that same exact narrative being pushed in the opposite direction is deemed racist. So that's what I can't really grasp. That is, if the exact same thing is used in another race, it is deemed racist, but with the white race, it's deemed racist.
Well, at this point, I mean, it's clear that, the time for discussion has passed. I'm no longer dealing with a rational state of mind. And I don't even think that most people think this way, like minorities and whatever like that. They don't read or digest what that sign says. They just go, oh, shoot, the TV box said, this is Nazism. This is this is evil. It has to be stopped. So, I mean, the time for arguments is past, clearly. And we need to try some new methods. That's why we have, let's see here. Here lies conservatism.
Came prepared today.
Oh, yeah. Wow. Imagine if the situation was reversed. Just how long can you just whine and cry while somebody mistreats you,
Right.
Past a certain point, I mean, you've got Stockholm syndrome. You're getting you keep going back to the same boyfriend that's beating you and going, oh my gosh, I wish it would stop. Leave.
It's
the first few times you get beat up, yeah, shame on that person that beat you up. But after the 10th time, you got to stop going back. Huh?
There's a pattern there. You need to stop.
Yeah, you need to stop. It's now you're enabling it. So, I mean, the time for discussion with these people is clearly past. We need to look at some more drastic measures. And I'm not saying violence. I'm saying, trying to, find our own communities and becoming more self-reliant. And I think even without agitation, inherently things that are different are not the same, right? So different races are going to have different, are going to succeed in different areas, and there's always going to be some sort of resentment,
right,
between the groups. So I think the best thing is just to, strike out on your own. It won't solve all the problems, but it'll solve, one big problem. How can you be nationalistic about something that clearly wants you dead? So I would say less and less white people are probably signing up for the military, who traditionally were the backbone of the military, the people that were dying the most and everything like that.
Yeah, you're 100% right. And I mean, I don't know. I don't understand how the country can be pushing this as like acceptable when evidently it's not actually doing anything positive, in my opinion, aside from making it seem as though things are like we're accepting.
Yeah, it's some virtue signaling, let's see, I got another meme. Let's show this meme. See if I can find it.
We got to get back to the memes too.
Oh man, yeah, here we go. Here's a good one. I'm just Wisconsin towns await influx of Afghans and wonder what it'll mean. And all the comments, really good food, probably some good food, man. New neighbors, interesting food, good food, awesome restaurants, great restaurants. What? Okay, I mean, we can't just have an Afghan restaurant. I don't know why we need to import so many people. Shouldn't we be focused more on, even if we don't look at it from a racial element, shouldn't we be focused on the people who are already here and trying to figure out how we can have them to have more children?
Right. Now that brings me to Twitter is notorious for their bots, correct?
Yeah, there's quite a few bot armies on there. Yeah.
Do you think that's anything to do with what you got right there?
Oh, you know what? I never thought about that.
Seeing as they're all kind of the same comment.
Well, here's what is more terrifying, that they're bots or that they're not bots.
I mean,
because either way, you end up with bots.
Right. So you got one side where it's automatically generated comments, and then you got one side where people actually are believing this, so there's no need for the automatically generated comments.
It's automatically generated moral robots.
Exactly.
It's just it just seems like such a sucker mentality. Just the good food, without like wondering, this same government that you guys believe is destroying the earth and causing, which I mean, I'm not exactly someone who doesn't believe in taking care of the earth at all. I'm just saying this is the same. These are generally the same people, generally speaking. Not all, but some. Generally the same people that are saying, well, our government is intentionally destroying the earth and causing the ice caps to melt, which will kill us all and drown us, are like, oh, well, now they want to import hundreds of thousands of refugees. I'm sure there's no ulterior motive there.
I see nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, right. Yeah, they're definitely not trying to replace you or lower wages or anything like that by oversupplying labor. That's impossible.
No way. No way.
Yeah.
Hit us with the next meme.
Oh shoot, what do we got?
Are we in the which folder are we in right now?
We did culture rot. I went back to Afghanistan. I do have Israel.
I mean,
Israel is a little bit.
Let's do it.
Let's freaking do it. All right. Might have to cut this one out of the episode. 6 million cookies with my limited number of ovens. You wanted when? Mamma mia. That's impossible. You're under arrest. That's impossible.
Wow. Okay. Hold on. 6 million. Go back to that.
Mamma mia.
Within my limited number of ovens, you want it when? Mamma mia, that's impossible. So I just want, how well versed are you on this meme specifically?
I'm pretty decent.
I want you to break that down because to most, that's not acceptable. With the logic behind it, maybe it'll sway some minds because I understand it. I've talked to you. I know about this. I want the viewers to know what's up. And if we get, taken off TikTok, YouTube, it is what it is. But we're here for a day or like last video, 6 hours of information. So let's do it.
Let's see here. How many crematoria? How many crematoria in Auschwitz? Let's see here. 4 large gas chambers. Crematoria.
Right there. Okay, got you.
According to the crematoria, could burn 4,416 corpses per day.
Okay, that's pretty up there.
So I think it clears out to let's see here. There were 5 crematoria and 15 ovens.
I thought you said 4.
No, there's 5. But one of them shut down at one point. Okay. Let's see here. We've got 1.1 million people killed in Auschwitz, but really it was 900,000 people in the last 3 years of the war. Not a lot of people know that. So we're not even going to take a look at the 6 million. We're going to take a look at the 900,000.
Okay.
So we got 900,000 and we got 75 ovens. And we got 3 years. So we got 12,000 per oven in 3 years.
Okay, hold on. So I'm glad that we're doing this like this right now. So 75 ovens where?
75 ovens total in the entire camp.
So 4 ovens in Auschwitz.
5 crematoria, 15 ovens.
Okay, got you.
75 ovens. We got to kill roughly 900,000 people.
Okay.
So divided by 75 is 12,000 ovens or 12,000 bodies per oven over 3 years. So each oven killed 4,000 people. Divided by 365. So that's 10.95 bodies per day, per oven.
Okay.
Just to hit the to kill all those 900,000 people.
Right.
So 24 divided by 10.95. So essentially, yeah, we'll just do 10.95. So 24 divided by 10.95. So we got to burn 2 people per hour. So we got to burn a person every half hour.
Okay.
Basically. Actually, more than that, because 60 divided by 2.19. Every 27 minutes, we got to have that body in and out. That includes taking it out and cleaning it. Now, that's ridiculous.
How long does it take to burn one body?
Well, you call up your local crematoria that's running an oven that runs about 100 grand.
Okay.
So let's actually, you know what, we should do that. So keep in mind, these are brick ovens. Cremation oven for sale.
I'm not going to joke with
you.
I thought you were going to call the crematorium right now.
No, a little bit late. 1 a.m. Oh, shoot, it is 1 a.m., huh?
Oh,
wow. Cremation oven for sale. Alibaba, let's take a look. All right, so these are for waste, right? This is like $5,000. We need a human one.
Selling a body crematorium or a body oven?
Oh, yeah. Heavy duty box. What's this one for? Furnace.
I feel like you struggle finding an actual human.
No, because I've done this before where I found them. Over $20,000. Wholesale mobile crematorium equipment.
Wow, they're mobile now.
$7,000, $45,000. Okay, so look at these things. Look at how these things look. They look strong and sturdy and well sealed, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they definitely look more powerful than this one's for animals. They look more powerful than your average oven. By the way, can you still see me?
Yeah.
All right, cool. I'll check this out. Ovens at Auschwitz. This is what we got. Brick and metal.
So it's a pizza oven.
Dude, it's nothing basically. So we have, assuming you're going 24 hours a day, you have to burn a body every 27 minutes in those.
Mhm.
These ones take hours, 2 to 4 hours. Some of them take longer.
So you're telling me that the math behind the number is one body per 27 minutes, and current modern technology requires at least 2 hours?
Yeah. Now the what they said was, well, they just burned more than one body in those things. Really?
Wait,
Really?
if you burn more than one body at a time, doesn't that up the time?
Yeah, you would say so, right? Well, they can just burn more weight at once, or the bodies were dehydrated. So let's see here. Auschwitz oven. Let's see the size of a person next to these ovens, right? So there's one body in there,
Share your screen.
one set of bodies. What's that?
Share
Oh,
your-
shoot, sorry. And you still see my face?
Yeah,
Wow. I can't see yours.
it's all right.
So there's people next to these things. Look at how big this thing is. What is this guy? Let's assume he's a tall guy. He's 6'5". How much of this body is that then? It's maybe 3 feet tall. How many can you really fit in there?
I mean, even
And it
given
tapers.
starvation and all of that, I would
Sure.
assume more than. I mean, your one is going in barely. Two, you're stuffing that for two.
Now let's make it even harder. So let's do a little bit of math. We got 75 ovens, right? And that's just under normal circumstances, 75 ovens. Now, one of the ovens is down for one year. So,
One of the ovens or one of the crematoriums?
or sorry, one of the crematoriums. So 15 times 2/3, because it's down for 2/3 of the time, means they're down to technically that crematory accounted for 10 ovens, essentially, when you do the math, because 2/3 of 15 is 10, right?
Right.
So we've now taken away, we're now down to 70 ovens, okay? And we have 70 ovens. We have 900.
This is gonna be bad.
Per oven.
All right, Justin, go back to 70 ovens.
Now we're at 70 ovens, which means for 900,000 people in 3 years, we have 12,857 bodies per oven over 3 years. Divided by 3, 4,285 bodies per oven per year.
Okay.
Divided by 12, month, 357 bodies a month. Divided by 30 at the day rate. We went from 10.95 to 11.9. We need to burn 11.9 bodies, which means 24 divided by 11.9 means we need to burn 2 bodies an hour. Yeah. We still need the 2 bodies an hour.
And that's impossible.
It's just not possible. And that's assuming you're going all day, every day, nonstop. So, as eyewitnesses said, there's a lot of smoke coming out of these things. In fact, there's so much smoke that Mr. Friedman was able to say this. Nope, not that one. That's a good one too. Let's see if I can find it. Actually, you know what? I'll need a second. So basically, they say there's smoke coming out of the ovens.
All day long.
All day long. But we have an instance where there's 400,000 something Hungarian Jews that are all sent to Auschwitz and killed and gassed within 3 months.
Okay.
Of each other, or within 3 weeks. In fact, we have David Irving. He's a historian that was known for looking at the original content. Basically looking at the original documents instead of just quoting people who had translated and stuff like that.
I'm a national racialist, or
not him.
Jim,
David Irving. Dude, it is David Irving. Here we go.
If I was to go to Auschwitz with the BBC television team, and this isn't just somebody with an 8mm high-8 camera, this is the BBC. They're going
Can you understand him?
Yeah, 100%.
All right.
to be marketing their film to television corporations around the world. I'm going to be standing there in their so-called gas chamber at Auschwitz I, and I'm going to be pointing out, oh, no holes in the roof. So that rather makes a mockery of your eyewitnesses who said that they saw the SS men clambering up on the top and dropping the pellets through the holes in the roof. Oh, look at that door over there. It's got a glass pane in it. A pane of glass in a gas chamber, in a door. And there's a 2-inch gap under the wooden door. It's a drafty gas chamber, this one. Right? I'd be asking questions like that. And they know they can't stand that. And so this is the reason that I'm banned from the Auschwitz site. Because I'll be asking the questions about the heaps of coke which don't exist.
Coke is fuel.
What?
The body.
What'd you say?
Coke is fuel. That's what he's saying. There's no heaps of fuel.
Okay.
Keeping in mind there was a huge shortage of any goods in all these camps due to the fact that the Allied forces carpet bombed all the transportation routes.
I'll be asking questions like that. I'll be saying, Tom Bauer, the famous British historian and journalist who wrote that recent book about the Swiss gold, Tom Bauer, he described how in May 1944, 450,000 Hungarian Jews were shipped off to Auschwitz. Within the space of 3 weeks, they've been cremated and gassed.
That's the important part.
So 400,000?
450,000 people.
450,000, 3 weeks, cremated and gassed.
Which we just deemed crazy.
Yeah, but check this out.
In a letter to the Sunday Times, of course, 450,000 people is an awful lot of meat. It's 45,000 tons of meat, if you're going to be tasteless about it. So what did they do with this mountain of meat after they'd gassed it? Either they cremated it, they burned it, or they buried it. They plowed it under.
It'd actually be somewhere, assuming everyone weighed 100 pounds.
Right.
That would be 4.5 million pounds of meat.
And you've got to be tasteless. You've got to ask these questions. If you're going to get rid of 45,000, 450,000 bodies, you've got a mountain of flesh of 45,000 cubic meters to dispose of. If you're going to bury it, you've got to have a pit of 45,000 cubic meters, which is the size of several football fields, which will be visible from the air. And we have the aerial photographs taken of Auschwitz in precisely those weeks when there's no such pits visible. Or you're going to cremate them, and it's going to take 60
imagery over the site, which shows no evidence of like anything smoking, no huge piles of bodies, nothing.
Grams of coke on average to cremate everybody in the gas chambers in the crematory that was supplied to Auschwitz. We know that because we have the actual operating instructions of these crematoria and their efficiency charts and all the details that came from the manufacturers. So we know how many tons of coke are going to be needed, tens of thousands of tons of coking coal, and there's no sign of that on the aerial photographs either. But nobody asks these questions, because if they do, of course, it's off with his head, put him in prison. And if I go to that building with the BBC television cameras, I'm going to be pointing out about the inside of the doors. I'll say, what a funny thing. That gas chamber door's got a handle on the inside. Now, I was in Pentonville prison for contempt of court 3 or 4 years ago, and I can't remember having had a handle on the inside of my cell door. Yet we're being told that 800 people packed into that room, according to the eyewitnesses, were so stupid that it never occurred to them to open the door with the handle that the Nazis had very kindly provided on the inside. And everybody's believed it for the last 50 years, and tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, nay, millions of school children have been bussed across Europe to that site and told to go in that building and shudder, because that's where millions of Jews were killed by the Nazis during World War II. And only now is the truth beginning to come out that nobody was gassed in that building, because that building was built by the Poles, as they now admit, in 1948, 3 years after World War II was over.
Crazy, right?
That doesn't make any sense.
Door on the, let's say the gas chamber is real, right? There's no door on the inside, or there's no there. The door opens both ways.
So what's the gain of lying about that number?
Well, the state of Israel.
Elaborate.
It's the state of Israel is built based on the Holocaust. In fact, there's a lot still getting reparations today for that. Even, a lot of Germany still pays reparations to a lot of Jews.
Really?
Yeah, sure. Let's see here. Montel. I'm looking for a Montel clip. Let's see if I can find it. Oh, here we go. This guy gets cut off from Montel.
Big business, because
Did you freeze? Again?
no, and then
What?
Go back to 1 second, because that's when you froze.
All right.
because it's big business, because Germany
Frozen?
No, you're good now.
is so far has given the Jews, I think, at least $200 billion. So it's big business, and some of you are still getting $1,000 a month. And a lot of people don't know this. And then people don't realize who brought the slaves to America. They were Jewish ships.
Well, wait a minute. That's a whole nother thing. Let's take a break, because what the issue that we're talking about today is whether or not there was a Holocaust. We'll talk about slavery and who brought them here later. We'll be back after this. I'm not going to let you go now.
Get him off the air.
Wow.
Shut it down. Yeah, dude, that guy was dropping red pills nonstop. Well, actually, Montel's like, wait, hold on. I'm about to get fired.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's actually a good episode of Montel. I should send it to you. From
So
the 90s. They were what?
They're actually talking about the existence of the Holocaust, though, in that episode.
Yeah, they had quote unquote deniers out there. And they had him on the Phil Donahue show as well. They had a Jewish revisionist on the Phil Donahue show. It was a Jew that was like, listen, this story is not, it doesn't make any sense.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn.
And they were doing really badly because Phil Donahue was trying to mock him every time he brought up good points, where he's like, well, how about the Doors? And he's like, you hung out with a neo-Nazi, didn't you? And he's like, no, the guy asked me to go to the bar with him. And man, I should see if I can find that too. David Cole, Marlo Thomas. So yeah, I'll try to find that part of the clip.
Okay. So a Jew actually discredits. Wow. A Jewish person actually discredits the Holocaust?
Oh, shoot, I found it. Oh, man, this is good. So Marlo Thomas is the host's wife.
Okay.
So keep that in mind.
Make sure you're there. Yeah.
Got it?
Yeah.
About windows in a gas chamber. One clip they didn't show was me standing in front of the Mighty Neck
He's Jewish.
gas chamber with a big plate glass window in it that was not barred or covered in any way.
Were you bar mitzvahed, David?
I'm an atheist. I made that clear to your production staff.
Well, but you may not have been at age 13.
I've always been an atheist.
You've always been. But you do claim Zundel as a friend, do you?
No,
know?
he's a man I met twice.
Zundel is a Canadian Nazi that was jailed for Holocaust denial, inciting racial hatred.
Okay.
In my life, I met Mayor Bradley. I met Mayor Bradley twice in my life.
It doesn't bother you to be a social companion of a neo-Nazi?
I am not a social companion. I said hi to him.
For what purpose would you meet him in Poland?
I was in Poland. He was in Poland. He heard there was a Jewish revisionist. He came by to say hi. What am I supposed to do? Kick him in the balls?
I see.
Please, no, wait a minute. Please,
let me just give you this.
No, please be clear that I have also worked with Holocaust researchers on the other side of this issue. I've worked with them far more than anyone.
Do you believe in anti-Semitism? I asked you, David.
I do.
You do?
Of course I do.
And do you believe it was especially virulent in Germany?
Of course I do.
You do. And do you believe people disappeared and were destroyed because of their Jewish?
It's only claimed that 6 camps in Poland.
David, you are familiar and know and have traveled with Ernst Zundel. Is that so?
No, I have not traveled with Ernst Zundel.
Did you meet him in Poland?
I met him in Poland. I've met him twice in my entire life.
Right,
I have met him twice in my entire life.
What did you do, have a beer? I mean, what's travel mean? You met him in Poland.
Yeah.
He introduced you to he is a neo-Nazi. You don't deny that.
Of course he is.
And he had an access program in Colorado, which has subsequently been pulled off the air after complaints by the Simon Wiesenthal Center.
No, I'm sorry, Phil. This is not about who I have met in my life. I just met you. Does that mean I'm Marlo Thomas? This is about... this is...
Got him good, huh?
So this guy's actually a Jewish... He's a Jewish man denying the information being put out about the Holocaust?
He calls himself a revisionist. Yeah, he's pretty popular. He had to go into hiding because some Zionist groups threatened him. And it wasn't just, they just threatened him. They beat him up a few times, knocked him unconscious, left him on the side of the road when he was taking his groceries inside the house. Threatened to kill him a bunch. Threatened him with bombings. Some crazy stuff happened.
Really? That's why. I mean, fighting the narrative is it's a big deal.
Yeah, that's the way the bananas are smashed, man.
Yes, they are.
What are you gonna do?
Well, thank you, Justin, for coming on to the show and bringing us back onto YouTube. Not sure how long it's gonna last, but we're back on this episode, so it is what it is. I want you guys to make sure to check out Justin's website. It's gonna be in the description on VetsVetoWar. Also, want you guys to follow, like, and share this episode on YouTube. Follow us on TikTok, Instagram. Make sure that you stay up to date because they can't ban every video every time. So that's where we come in, make sure that everything is set and good and in its place. Appreciate you guys for tuning into this episode, and you've officially been
Hey,
in.
Mike, you broke up.